Regina Pacis online teaching program. Like you know, my name is Miss Quentin Ebele. I hope you are home and staying safe and observing all the COVID-19 protocols. I'll be taking you people on economics, as you already know. And today, we'll be looking at the topic, public finance. The objectives we wish to achieve at the end of the lessons are: 1. Explain the objectives of public finance. Differentiate between recurrent expenditure and capital expenditure. And then describe the sources of revenue to the government. What is public expenditure? What is public finance? Public finance is an aspect of economics which deals with government revenue and expenditure. In public finance, we try to do a detailed analysis of all the sources of income for the government and the various items on which the government spends its money, and the impact of all these sources of income and this spending on the general economy. And that is why the government makes use of the revenue and expenditure to control the economy. And as you well know, while we were looking at the balance of payments, we saw that one of the items of control used by government to control the regulate the economy was government revenue and the government expenditure. And the use of government income and expenditure to regulate the economy is called fiscal policy. Then, why do we study public finance? Even at home, we make some expenses. Income comes in, and some things are spent, and some of these income are spent on certain items. So, what are the objectives of this public finance to the economy? 1 is general administration of the country. The government needs money to take care of the civil service, and also to maintain all the arms of government, like the legislative arm, the executive arm, and the judiciary. The second objective is defense or national security. The government needs money to maintain the military, so as to make sure that we are protected from any external aggressions. And so the government needs money to maintain the army, the navy, and the air force. Internally, the government also needs money to maintain internal law, order, and security. And to maintain internal law, order, and security, the government needs to spend money on the police and also on the judiciary, like the judiciary that makes sure that all crimes committed are punished with the necessary penalty. Then, the fourth, social welfare and security. Government provides social welfare benefits for the citizens in the form of pensions, unemployment benefits, and also tries to make sure that it provides social infrastructure like recreational facilities, electricity, water supply, and others. Economic development. In order to speed up economic development, there needs to be a working infrastructure in the economy, and the government provides such infrastructure. They spend money in order to make sure that such infrastructures are provided, like roads, hospitals, communication networks, transportation networks, etc. Economic security and progress. In order to make sure that quality and standard goods are provided for the citizens, the government sets up agencies like the SON, Standard Organization of Nigeria, the NAFDAC, National Administration for Food and Drug Administration and Control. Government sets up all these agencies to monitor the producers, to make sure that standards are maintained, so that at the end of the day, the citizens are provided with standard goods and services. Servicing of national debts. You borrow money, and when you borrow money, you pay interest. And these interests are paid yearly, and money is needed in order to offset such interest. So the government also spends money in order to service its national debt. We said that public finance is an aspect of economics that builds on government revenue and expenditure. Now, what is this public revenue and what is this public expenditure? Start with public revenue. Public revenue refers to all sources of income or all the total income that accrues to all the levels of administration, like the states, the local, and the federal governments, from all the various sources from which the government generates its income. And then these public revenue are of two forms. We have two structures of public revenue. We have the recurrent revenue and the capital revenue. And then the capital revenue are those irregular and extraordinary revenue that accrues to the government. It doesn't come all the time, it comes once in a while. That is why we call it capital revenue. And capital revenue are usually spent on capital projects. And such revenue comes from sources like loans, grants, gifts, etc. It doesn't come all the time, it comes once in a while. Recurrent, from the word recurring, it comes all the time. It is revenue that comes to the government yearly or regularly. Then we have government expenditure, are all the total expenses incurred by public authorities at all levels of administration in the country. Just like in public revenue, we also have capital expenditure and recurrent expenditure. Capital expenditure is of a permanent basis. You spend it once in a while, just like at home. You have areas, money that you spend all the time, and items on which money are spent on all the time, and then items that you make once in a while. Like at homes, you can spend money, maybe make a capital project to build a house. But then, under recurrent expenditure, it comes regularly. And recurrent expenditures are expenditures made on regular or yearly basis. Sources of government revenue. Now, where are the areas through which government generates this revenue? We have tax, and this tax can be in two forms, the direct tax and the indirect tax. Just like we know, tax is a compulsory payment levied by government and its agencies on individuals or properties of individuals or on goods and services. Then, fees, licenses and fines. Government generates revenue through licenses like driver's licenses, which are renewed on yearly or regular basis, and fines like court fines. When you go to court, depending on what you have committed, you might be made to pay some fines, and then fees that are paid. Then interest, dividends, profits and earnings from government investments. Where we have joint venture, government usually engage in some investments, that may be joint venture investments with other private organizations, and from there they earn money. Then borrowing. Government also borrows both nationally and internationally from individuals and institutions. Then royalties and rents. Royalties are usually paid mostly by mining sectors in Nigeria. Then the sixth one, grants, aids and gifts. So these are the various sources of government revenue. We have succeeded in looking at the objectives of public finance, the structure of revenue and the structure of expenditure, and the various sources through which the government derives its revenue. So we are coming to the end of today's lesson. Thank you for listening. And for your assignments, I would like you to look at the reasons why the government can either increase or decrease its expenditure. And you send that assignment to this number, typed 080642945 your assignments to this number with your names boldly written on top of the assignments. Have a wonderful day.